Hello, community, and welcome back to another Keeping It Real with Dr. Nita podcast. I am your host, Dr. Nita Polite Wilson, C-Suite Trusted Advisor, Board Director, and Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging Strategy Consultant, helping members of the C-Suite and their teams reframe diversity conversations from difficult to different. As we transition from celebrating Juneteenth to recognizing the significance of July 4th, it's an opportune moment to reflect on how these holidays intersect with our ongoing journey toward true independence and equality. July 4th marks the celebration of independence, freedom, and the birth of a nation founded on the promise of equality. However, as we celebrate this holiday, it's crucial to recognize that the pursuit of true independence is an ongoing process. One area where this is particularly evident is in the realm of technology and artificial intelligence, commonly known as AI. There is a widespread belief that AI will level the playing field regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion, which we also know as DEI. The hope is that these advanced technologies can remove human biases and provide objective, fair decisions. However, the reality is far more complex. AI systems are created by people, and people, regardless of their background, have biases. These biases can unintentionally be embedded in the algorithms and data sets used to train AI, leading to outcomes that may perpetuate or even exacerbate existing inequalities. This brings us to the broader discussion about the current landscape of DEI in the workplace. Despite the progress we've made, the term diversity itself seems to be falling out of favor. Some argue that it has lost its impact and failed to drive meaningful change. As a practitioner of diversity, inclusion, and belonging, I see this as a call to action. We need to shift our focus from simply promoting diversity to fostering a culture of true inclusion and belonging by consistently demonstrating what inclusive leadership acts, sounds, feels, and looks like. In the corporate world, it's not just enough to have a diverse workforce. We must ensure that everyone feels valued, heard, and empowered to contribute their unique perspectives. This requires a deep commitment from leadership to rethink the one-size-fits-all approach to technology and data. AI can play a role in this, but only if we're vigilant about how we design and implement these systems. We must actively work to identify and mitigate biases, ensuring that our technological tools support our DEI goals rather than undermine them. To make sure AI is non-discriminatory, we must question how the inputs and narratives, especially those of Black and Brown people in America, have been skewed. By being intentional in our actions and mindful of our biases, we can create a more equitable and inclusive future for all. I believe we can move forward in corporate America by respecting every representation of diversity and focusing on inclusion with intention. Intentional inclusion starts with leadership. It's essential for leaders to set the tone and model inclusive behaviors. This means being aware of their own biases, actively seeking out diverse perspectives, and creating policies that support equity and inclusion. It also involves providing training and resources to help employees understand the importance of DEI and how everyone can contribute to a more inclusive culture. One practical step is to ensure that AI and other technologies used in the workplace are designed with inclusivity in mind. This involves critically examining the data sets and algorithms to identify potential biases and taking steps to address them. It's also crucial to include diverse voices in the development and implementation of these technologies, ensuring that they reflect a broad range of experiences and perspectives. Moreover, we need to be intentional about the stories we tell and the narratives we amplify. The experiences of Black and Brown people in America have often been marginalized or misrepresented. By actively seeking out and sharing these stories, we can challenge stereotypes and build a more accurate and inclusive understanding of our collective history and present. As we celebrate July 4th, let's remember that independence and freedom are not just historical milestones, but ongoing aspirations. The journey towards true inclusion is not easy, but it is possible. By being intentional in our actions, questioning our assumptions, and committing to continuous learning and improvement, we can create workplaces that are truly inclusive and equitable for all. Finally, it's imperative that we remain diligent in leveraging AI responsibly in the workplace. If not managed carefully, AI has the potential to undermine the strides we've made in diversity, equity, inclusion. We must ensure that our use of technology enhances our efforts to build inclusive cultures rather than hinder them. By prioritizing ethical practices and inclusivity in AI development and implementation, we can safeguard the process we've made and continue to advocate toward a truly equitable future. As we prepare to celebrate July 4th, let's remember that the work towards true independence and inclusion continues, and together we can make a lasting impact. I wish you all a reflective and inspiring July 4th. This month on Real Conversations from the C-Suite, I'll be joined by a very special guest, colleague, and dear friend, Dr. Dina Brown, a dynamic author, speaker, and consultant who's dedicated to transformative leadership as a global director at Medtronic. During our first conversation with Dr. Dina, we'll make a celebratory transition from Juneteenth to July 4th and consider the need for independence from the thought that AI will level the playing field regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion, when in fact, bias is built into AI simply because the developers who create AI have bias, even if the developers are diverse. In our second conversation with Dr. Dina, we'll discuss the current landscape specific to diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace from her perspective as it relates to business and talent strategy, especially now that even the word diversity seems to be falling out of favor. Finally, in our last conversation with Dr. Dina, we'll explore how we can move forward in corporate America to respect every representation of diversity, value every voice, treasure every talent, and focus on inclusion with intention. Trust me when I tell you that this is a series of real conversations from the C-Suite that you do not want to miss. If you'd like to hear this podcast again or any of my previous podcasts, please visit my website at drnita.com and remember to spell out the word doctor. And on the landing page at the top, click the Keeping It Real podcast link. And while you're there, please check out my resources and services. In the meantime, please join me by getting in the flow. Follow, like, and overshare with your network any podcast to help you reframe diversity conversations from difficult to different. Until next time, this is Dr. Anita reminding you to stay blessed and keep it real.